everybody. Welcome back to Factual Actual. We believe that a healthy mind craves a healthy body in which to reside. I'm Dwayne. I'm the senior advisor, and uh, we're just glad that you tuned in for another program. The founder is here, my son, Dwayne, and we are really excited about the program that we're about to do. And I'm just going to give it to him to open us up.
I would like to say hello to everyone. You know, I am I am I'm overjoyed today because I have opportunity get get someone to get another guest on today that has a little bit credentials other than just this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I have a person that I've met recently that well, let's just go ahead and say it. This man has met Barack Obama. You know what I mean?
Hey, well, that's close.
so
Right? You've been to
I'm just saying this is not no every day, but I've got to hang with this gentleman, which is already something else. But to get him here on the wax and get his insight and things, it's going to be interesting. So, like I always do, I don't really want to introduce anyone. I like them to introduce themselves. So I'm gonna turn it over to my man and let him introduce himself.
I appreciate it. Dwayne Sr. and Dwayne Jr. Thank you for having me on your podcast tonight on Actual Factual. I've been tuned in ever since I met you, and I've been enlightened along the way. So I really appreciate the authenticity. I appreciate the knowledge that's being passed along, as well as the opportunity to just sit down and fellowship with your brothers. I'm Dante Hunter. A little bit about me real quick. I served in the armed forces for about 8 years roughly, and served in the Gulf War a couple times. And then I made my way into the finance industry out here in Europe, in Germany. I've been here since off and on, respectively, collectively since 2006. And that includes 2 tours over here in Europe, as well as visitation time, spending time with my daughters. I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled. It's an opportunity. It's a blessing for me. So I want to be able to share whatever I can. And I'm also willing to learn whatever it is that you're willing to teach. So let's get to it.
All right. So I see this man. So I do want to put this caveat. I've been doing I've been making videos for Factual Actual for some time.
Okay.
And it was the point that I met this gentleman for the I guess the second time, and I don't remember the first time.
Long time
That
ago.
he said, all right, bro, come as you are and put it out there and let it be. And a week later, I put out my first Factual Actual video. So to me, you know what I'm saying? It was just one of those kicking the butt moments where it was like, all right, let's do it. And I credit that to you. So, but here in Factual Actual, we deal with that empirical, you know what I'm saying, what you know, and we trying to help other people, you know what I mean? So this is how I feel. This is what I know, and this is what works for me is how we do it. You know what I'm saying? So as long as we in that vein and we trying to give people information that there's needs, we're gonna make it happen. So today, I'm gonna turn it over to my to Bible because we're gonna talk about spiritual health. We say here a healthy mind craves a healthy body. Well, guess what? We haven't talked about the healthy mind, and this is where I think we can help the people. And let's talk about that healthy mind that's craving that healthy body. And please, Baba, let's do it.
Great. We're going to first invite our creator into this program, and we trust his insight so much more than our own. We follow his guide, and I believe the creator of the universe and the creator of the multiverse, I think he loves us. And the closer we get to him, the better we are as individuals. And I think the relationship with our creator is first and foremost a mental one. And I understand that Dante flows in that meditation aspect of a healthy mind. So I'm sure that there are a lot of people like me out there with a lot of questions about meditation, because meditation for most people is just a catch-all word. But there's more to it. And the little bit that I know about it, it has expanded my horizons in so many ways. And it actually helps your body to feel better as well. So I'm going to ask Dante the first question, and I'm asking for everybody that's watching, what is meditation?
Meditation, I'll firstly say, is personally the act or practice of learning yourself. And that comes through patience, breathing, and the diligence to be able to sit within yourself collectively and collect your thoughts, to observe the thoughts as they come along, no matter what they are, and allow them to pass. This in itself, for me, has helped with growth and development. It's helped with impulse control. It's helped with the ability for me to sustain my presence and sustain myself within the present moment, as opposed to overthinking, overanalyzing, over-rationalizing, jumping to conclusions, if you will. So all in all, meditation is the act of putting yourself in an introspective state of awareness overall. And mind you, that's not a clear-cut and concise definition from Webster's. It's a personal commitment to each individual.
I get you. I like the way you put it, and I don't think it's ever been explained as well, anybody I've talked to, because
I appreciate the sentiment.
It is a personal thing that I found.
Sure.
And you can ask 5 different people. They'll say the same thing, but they'll say it in a different way. Correct. And I like that you put it. So I'm going to say it is concise enough. Just that statement helped me. And if someone, I guess a couple questions. I want you to elaborate on, the introspection, the mindfulness, the in the moment. We're going to get to that. But my question is, I'm trying to speak for everybody that may be watching. Why should I meditate? I wake up, sun's up, nighttime, sun goes down, and man, my bills are piling up on me, and next month I don't know what I'm gonna be doing, and this job is shaky. Why should I meditate?
Okay. Why should I meditate? From personal experience, I going to keep it absolutely bare bones. I grew up in a religious backing. My father was a minister, and we've had many nights of conversations about the differentialities within spirituality and religion. And there are, to me, a vast amount of similarities between the two. And I mean this as your religious self, you make that a practice. You wake up, you're grateful, you pray, you attend your services. That's a practice. That in itself is considered meditation. Praying every day, when you wake up, in the afternoon, when you go to bed, before you go to bed, that's meditation. So essentially, that's a form of spirituality within itself. But meditation in itself, what is it? Again, it comes down to establishing exactly what you are, who you are, and gaining a profound innermost understanding or an understanding of your entire encompassment of a being. So when you wake up and you say, as you mentioned, I wake up and I got bills, but the sun is shining. Throughout my meditation and my practices within meditation, and mind you, I am not a guru. I am still in the novice stages of meditation. However, over the past few months, I've also acquired different techniques, also including manifestation techniques, as well as different, should I say, I'll just keep it, techniques to where I have the time and I make myself make the time for the meditation, because it's a personal practice. How well are you? How much time are you willing to give to yourself? That's how I pretty much put all of that into meditation. How much time am I willing to give to myself in order to meditate, in order to make it effective? Because at the end of the day, meditation, at the end of it all, the ins and outs is literally, as I mentioned before, a diligent practice to remain consistent and to learn yourself. So,
okay, to help us with the definition, I know what meditation means to me, and I probably know when I'm speaking and with people who meditate, it's easy to just say meditation because we all know what he's talking about. But the way that you've explained it, is very insightful. And what I want to do, as you explain from this point forward, I'm just going to say, let's just use this aspect of it from what you said, is that pathway to self-awareness.
Okay? Correct.
That's just one thing. So when you explain it, when we say it, we're going to say, instead of saying meditation, for those of us that are, unindoctrinated, we'll say this pathway to self-awareness. And then the ultimate goal is for us to become aware of who we are. Now, I'm just commenting on what you said.
Correct.
And it sounded great. And so figuring out who I am and where I am in this universe, there's a pathway, and that pathway is introspection or becoming self-aware. Okay.
I believe, correct.
And so are you saying that there is more than one technique to becoming self-aware?
Yes.
But it's the same path. It's just different techniques on that path.
Yes. And the reason I say there's the same path, let me get that clear, because I don't want to confuse. Every person has a journey. Every individual's journey has a different purpose. We have individuals that we meet along that journey who help us out. They give us insight. We give them insight. Irregardless of the facts or those nuances that may come along with those who enter our life or enter our journey along with us, we're here for the development. We're here for the enlightenment, and every individual's purpose, every individual's journey will be different when it comes to a technique or the techniques prescribed for their particular journey to self-awareness. For example, when I first started meditation, I was so focused on controlling the breathing, because you hear that so often through meditative purposes or learning meditation, breathing, controlling the breath. So for me, that was a difficult process at first, because when you're first entering meditation, you hear it so often and you're like, meditation leads to self-awareness and self-enlightenment. And you're like, okay, let me check this out then. This sounds like this is intuitive. When you first sit down, you get your opportunity to sit still and you find a quiet place. It could be a closet, it could be a room, it could be your vehicle. You can sit in the back seat of the car in the dark, wherever you find solace and peace of just being with yourself. I've taken up several techniques with breathing. I've taken up several techniques with yoga. I've tried the master's technique with I don't want to say fire bending, but it's the focus on the flame. You burn a candle, you light a candle, you control your breath. You don't have to go all into anything deep. You focus on that flame and you allow that flame to resonate with you as much to the best of your ability. And I've found that flame watching, if you will, or fire watching, one of these techniques has also allowed me to connect to a different ether, if you will. Because you come along, the more you dig into meditation and the more it intrigues you, the more you want to figure things out, the more you want to study, the more you want to learn about it in a way that is effective for you. I hate the fact that I had to, draw that out, but that's literally what it is. The techniques are literally finding a method that is absolutely going to work for you. And it could be anything, as some of the techniques that I've mentioned. But mindfulness is the goal.
Mindfulness, I got you. And, along with what you're saying, for me, I found that there were several techniques. Some work better for me, myself. But I can tell you, getting on a project working alone, and I mean, it could be reading a paper, editing an article that I've been asked to do. But if I'm alone and I'm focused on that thing, I mean, pushing the lawnmower, I go to this zone.
Correct.
There's nobody there but me, and
you're
talking to me. And I get so much insight into things that are going on in my life. But it was that activity that got me to that focus. So I know some people who they watch movies, and you would think that how can you focus and get something out of watching movies? But
my question. Exactly.
But the insight that individual has gotten from that movie, I watched that same movie and I ain't get that out of it, you know what I'm saying?
So, gentlemen, so I finally get a chance to chime in because I have something to say, and we're going to talk about introspective, I did something that the law said was wrong. That's neither here nor there. But I ain't have no wheels and I had to ride the train. And when you're on the rails, you know what I'm saying, when you're riding the train, getting from here to there to see your children or whatever you're doing. Look, this ain't a group trip, you're by yourself. So
right.
I would say that was, to be honest, you know what I'm saying, it ain't something I want to do, but I had a great time doing it. I don't know why, but it was just me on the rails. There was nobody to come, nothing, you know. I'm not talking about New York subways or nothing. This is European rails where you get
Understood.
you in 2 or 3 seats to yourself. And this was long
Correct.
before this pandemic bullshit that you had this. So, but it was I will admit that even though it was a really low point in total of what was going on in my life,
Hmm.
me and my children really, really harped back on it and loved it because there was a time that it was just us. There was
Correct.
nobody else around, you know what I mean? On my ride there, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't drive, it wasn't quick. I had to spend an hour on there or whatever. But in that hour, it was just me. And I swear that was riding the rails. I always say riding the rails was a really cool time because I could sit back and listen to some things and I got to hear some things and I got to sit back and think about what I was doing. And it was really good. You know what I mean? So I can't say that there was meditation, you know what I mean? But I will say that a long time that I had to go with myself. I've always said that look, you can lie to everybody, but you can't really
Don't
lie
lie
to
to
yourself.
yourself. Correct.
But you can't
Facts.
lie to yourself. So
Facts.
in
But
that time
that doesn't mean
alone,
that you won't try.
You
that
won't
don't
try.
mean you
Doesn't mean that you won't try.
You might try. That's facts. That's facts. You might try.
Oh, you gonna try. Forget
I've done it
might. You gonna try.
I've done it.
because
That ain't an if, that's a win.
this is why about we're talking about techniques here because we're trying to find the one that works. Because
Yeah.
what I found in my studies, especially when I look when we talk about philosophy,
Mm.
um, and to a degree theosophy, but you know, because of something that has happened in your life and you develop these fear-based reactions.
Or defense mechanisms, I say sometimes
Yeah.
too.
That's the word I use all the time. These defense. You know, there's a part of you that does not want you to meditate.
Facts.
There's a part of you that does not want you to become aware.
Facts.
And you know, being a uh, being in the ministry for all of these years, you know, we have different names for different things, but in philosophy, you're looking at the nature of man, and there's a part of you that does not want to see yourself.
Correct.
Meditation helps you to break that down, and through focusing on one thing at a time, because what your mind will do is try to get you to focus on many things at one time, and you can't do any one any justice. And the creator in his infinite wisdom and understanding of his creation, he will allow us to get into situations where we do have to focus on one thing
Object.
at a time.
I understand.
That's
That's true.
one thing at a time, one moment at a time. And if you're worrying about what the weather is going to be next week for some event you're going to, you've leapfrogged way over there to 1,000 different events. Whereas thankfulness comes from realizing what it is you have right now. So I lost my job. I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. But right now, I'm in my house.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's cold outside, but I'm inside, I'm warm. Right now, I feel healthy or right. You know, that one event, that one thing at one time in one moment, I found for me, one of the many techniques of meditation helped me get to a mindfulness. And once I hit that place, Dante, uh, everything else falls to shape. I don't have this jumbled mass of events. My mind has a chance to put things in their place, in their order, and it makes the rest of my week, let's say,
Better. Yeah.
well, I'm organized up here, and I have a flow chart now, one that I could not get before, and I'm just saying I'm overwhelmed.
Understand.
I feel that I've learned, like Pavlov's dog. When I feel overwhelmed, I'm in need of a meditation medical touch for me. The inside
Rethink.
mind of me needs to refocus, readjust, reorganize.
Understood.
And
Understood.
so now I'm like you. Um, I've only been doing it for 10, 15 years, but it's not like I made it my earnest effort,
I understood. Correct. I got you.
which had I done that, maybe I'd be a little farther along when it comes to meditating. But I know enough about it that when I feel overwhelmed, I know what I'm in need of. And that is to shut out everything else, get in here and let my mind reorganize itself.
Jenna,
Plan. Plan for the rest of, you know, whatever. I put things in order again and I don't feel overwhelmed.
gentlemen,
Understood. Yeah.
yeah.
Totally.
Let me. So, this is me because I will admit I am not the meditator, and that's why I have you gentlemen here. But I do want to point this out. You know what I'm saying? And that is that is less is more. I do want to stress this that sometimes those little things that are not so complicated, for me initially, the thought of meditation and everything that it would encompass, and I got to be still, and it's got to be dark, and the children, all that chaos. But in actuality, let's be honest, it don't really take that long. And according to both you, Baba, and Dante, it starts with what? 15 seconds, 30 seconds.
Exactly.
It's not really it's the beginning, right?
Correct.
I'm not.
And you have to start somewhere. And that's what your point is. Not to cut you off. Please continue.
No. I want you to go. That's where I want you to go.
Okay.
Let
Yeah.
them know.
I'm touching on what your father spoke on about his technique, and when he gets to a state of overwhelming mind wandering, he knows exactly, like, okay, I'm a little off course mentally. Let me get myself in check. I resonate with that. It can be anything, as you gentlemen mentioned earlier. It can be anything. You mentioned you were on the train with your kids. It was a peace. It was a moment of solace and solitude. Although your children were with you, but they're part of you. So that moment of solace, for example, I write. When I write, you get into a zone. When you go into that zone, however brief or however long it may be, that is a meditative state. You understand what I'm saying? If you're sitting down, you're making your videos, you're preparing your videos, you're brainstorming. That's a form of meditation, believe it or not. Because as your father mentioned, you're focusing on one object, one topic, and one item at a time. So it doesn't allow your mind to wander as much as you normally would. And you know how I am, as I mentioned to you before, I have that, I'm not going to call it an issue, but haphazardly, I tend to overanalyze everything, every thought, to the smallest detail. I'm analyzing. We mentioned the other day when you stopped by and you spoke to me about a few of your emotions, and I immediately was like, oh, A, B, and C. Have you tried X,
It
Y,
was
Z?
B. I'm just gonna say it was B. You didn't get me on A, but you did get me on B. Fair enough. Fair enough. It was B, but it was not A, ladies and gentlemen. But by B, he had me. Yes,
For sure.
And that was like you need to be here, and you was able to hit me with Bobby. So come on,
But
let
either
us
way
know.
it goes, as I mentioned earlier, people come along your journey to aid you at times. They're gonna give you little tidbits of information. It's up to us what we do with it, how we choose to use it. Now, the information that you received from me was already in cohorts with what you were planning on doing within this podcast. So, in sense, as I mentioned many times before, no coincidence, correct? This happened because it was supposed to. It was meant to. Now, getting to the technique. Another technique, I use mantras. I'm not, if you're aware of the numerical or supreme mathematics, the numerical equation that Nikola Tesla used for the divine, or not even a divine frequency, but frequency among humans. We all have a frequency. We all emanate on a frequency. Hence, you may turn on the radio one day and hear a song and you're like, yuck, I don't want to hear this. It doesn't resonate with your frequency. You'll change the station, you'll hear a different song. You're like, ooh, I can vibe to this. You wind up listening to that song the whole way through. You may never heard it. You may not have heard it before. You may have heard it many a times, but just never got the same information or the same message from it. That frequency that you are in, that you're resonating in at that particular moment, is what is necessary. It's needed. So my mantra is the 369 technique. In the morning, I give my mantra, as your father mentioned it, because these are my exact words. I'm thankful for what I have. I'm grateful for what's to come. And I am accepting of all that is, because I can't change anything. You understand what I'm saying? 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, 9 times before I shut my eyes. It sounds like a lot, but say it in the mirror. Look yourself in the mirror. Meditation. You can look in the mirror, my man. Look in the mirror. Look directly at yourself. Michael Jackson said it. I'm staring at the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. Okay?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I started meditation solely because I knew that I have a spiritual connection. I just wanted to find it in my own way, or in the best way that I could pursue possible. And for me, meditation has given me a stepping stone to actually pursue. And now that I'm actually into it, I want to continue. You know, it's the same thing I mentioned as a religion. You know, I have many peers in many different who have many different religious backgrounds, and one friend of mine who actually used to produce my music, he's Muslim and he studies the Quran, and he spoke to me and he gave me some insight a few times when we just sit down off time, and he dropped some gems. I'm telling you, my man. And I told him, I looked him dead in his eyes and I said, you know what? I appreciate all of the information that you're giving me. I said, but right now, I don't have the discipline for sticking with it. I can't. I don't have the discipline for it. And that to me was already enough to know that I'm becoming more aware of what I'm capable of and more aware of what I am, not to say I'm incapable of, but how far or where my boundaries lie, should I say. Not saying it's a bad thing. No, not at all. Not at all. It's just my disciplinary tactic is not yet prepared to dive that deep, in a sense. And I can understand where you come from with meditation. So I totally agree with you. And what I'm here to do is to just hopefully broaden your horizon, hopefully broaden someone else's horizon, a viewer's horizon, in this regard. But again, meditation can come through and can come from anything and any particular matter or subject that you focused on. If you enjoy it, it's meditation. Dance, meditation. We are African peoples from each of these 12 tribes. And we, as African peoples from these 12 tribes, we are innately spiritual beings, melanated. We from the cosmos. Okay. Any basic geneticists will tell you, this melanin that we got is stardust. It's carbon based. Okay. We are in the stars. We from the stars. So we look to the stars, and people automatically do what? They look to the skies, they pray. That's a form of meditation. You understand what I'm saying? You see where I'm getting at here? Like any a source that you can look for. You look to the sky. People look to the skies and they pray. They look to the stars and they say, wow, it's scientific, but in a sense, it's so miraculous. The cosmos is so miraculous. And just know that we are a part of this. It makes you to an extent, especially if you're in a process or a state of wanting to attain or acquire as much knowledge as you can withhold. At a certain point, as you mentioned, it might give you a kick in the butt. For real.
Yeah.
I believe. Gentlemen.
Okay.
But again, take your time. Take your time. If you find yourself sitting somewhere, you're like, man, perfect example. We all talk to ourselves. We say, some therapists will tell you that, you might be a little bit offset in the mind, but I don't believe that. You're talking exactly with who you're supposed to be talking to. That inner guide, your conscience, yourself. Okay. When we talk to ourselves, sometimes you have full conversations with yourself, and that's not a bad thing. It allows you, as your father mentioned, it allows you to oftentimes to organize your thoughts. Should you actually pay attention to it? Some individuals don't like listening to that thought. Okay. Better example. When you read a book in silence, is there not a voice in your head reading the lines or the words on the page? You can hear that. Okay. That's what I mean. That's that conscious. That's your inner self. You're reading to yourself. Ain't nobody else reading it to you. You read it, you understand, completely silent, but yet you hear the words. You can understand. You can hear the words as you read them, although your mouth is not moving. That's your inner self. It's okay in this sense, in this aspect, that speaking with yourself, albeit whatever the case is, even within meditation. However, when you are devout and you want that silence and you want to focus on one, that's when you have to be able to tune that conscious out. Because when you're alone and you're silent in meditation, that's when the conscious is going to be like, man, I remember the other day, this sucker, man, took my parking spot and flipped me the finger in the process. Now you got a subconscious thought like, man, I should have said something back then.
Wait, hold on. Let me put this in here. All right, let me caveat right there. So exactly. So now for me, I feel like we go into this level, right? So now you right there. Now you at my level. Let's talk about this. And then this is a lot of us out here. Here I am wanting to meditate, but I'm on this motherfucker that took my parking space. So help us, because this is where I lie. Help us get away from he took my parking space to meditation and me to focus on myself. Both, not just you and my dad, because I want to hear it. Come on, help us, our youngsters.
What I've learned is it's not my business, and this goes to this involves everything. Sometimes you get on the phone, you'll talk to someone, they'll give you a message of discern, or there's something that's of concern that they're dealing with. You may not wholeheartedly know exactly what they're going through, but you're going to feel it in some way. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel some type of empathy. You're going to feel something for them, right? The best thing that I've learned to do is to always provide positive reinforcement, positive criticism. And once it passes, I have to tell myself, I've said and I've done the best that I can do with what I was given. It is no longer my business. You understand what I'm saying? This goes with anything. People may talk talk foul about you. People may speak ill. People may get upset, or they may have disdain toward an opinion or any type of information or knowledge that you're trying to present. You have to continue to stand strong, stand on your own 2 feet, and know it's not my business that they feel or that they may act or carry on it the way that they do. You understand? Has nothing to do with you. They on a different frequency than you. That's why when you're in meditation and you get that thought, dang, this sucker took my parking space and flipped me the bird earlier, you let it go. At that moment, you visualize everything, because you're going to see everything that transpired at that moment. It's a memory because it affected you in some way, shape, or form, right? Throughout that meditation or during that meditation, you have to be able to consciously as well as subconsciously view it and let it pass. But you understand that it's not your business. The frequency was not yours. That's what I can say to that. That's what helped me. It's not my business. You see, it's not my business.
Well, seeing that I'm much older than you gentlemen, some things are just not fair because I've lived that much longer and some things have just passed, where this physiologically, mentally experience. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to go to the Apostle Paul. He said, when I was a child, I did what children do.
Yeah.
But when I became a man, I put away childish things.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, unless you are ready to go join a monastery of some sort and devote your whole self, to the task of meditating and becoming Zen, some things are just going to have to pass with time, son.
Understood.
Because, the Kung Fu specialists, the Shaolin, they seem so much further along, when it comes to martial arts and stuff. That's all they do. So at this point in your life, you're probably raising children. You're probably working. You're doing these things. So experience has a lot to do with you growing, especially when it comes to meditation. At this point in my life, there are things that I can do a whole lot easier that I could when I was 20 years younger, because my life is different now than it was then. So if you are meditating and you get bogged down on those, like he said, time will teach you that those things don't matter.
They don't.
And the universe that you have allowed the media to shape, or this world to shape, it's not real. And that programming that this matrix has put on our minds, it is keeping you, like Dante said, keeping you from knowing your Black self. Because once you realize what your melanin means, and as Dante said, we were transported here, even if in the smallest of carbon molecules.
Yep. Yeah.
This world, as it stands, it does not want you, Black man, to realize that.
Yep.
So everything in the media, everything in the world's frequency,
yep,
or as Dr. Naeem Akbar said, this paradigm, you will never get from this paradigm what this paradigm produces from your counter less melanin folk because it's theirs. But we melanated people, we need our own paradigm because in their paradigm, we will only get to this point.
Right. That's understood.
We get into ours. And in our paradigm, we are kings, we are special, we are unique. We are as the Creator made us to be. And we are a part of a greater, grander purpose. Some things in this life are not worth you spending any time thinking about, but you're just not there yet.
Yep.
So okay. So me, go ahead, Pops, because I got something for you.
I'm just saying, if you want to go the long road, go that way. Worry about what the guy said to you.
I used to.
Okay, check Jim.
But you can leapfrog, like I told you. You can time travel, Dwayne Jr.
Pops.
Take my advice.
Check it.
You can leapfrog.
I know.
18 years that you don't even have to.
I understand. So, Pops. So today though, so there was one more part of this interview that we need to address. So I speak very, very highly of my Baba. So according to Dante, you know what I'm saying, in order for us to do this interview, he said that he had some questions. So he has some questions for you. So in this expert interview that we're having, there was a flip, and he also has some questions that he wanted to present to you. So we need to get to that. So y'all ready? So
yeah,
you up, Baba? So let's.
Oh man, I told you, I'm Dante, I'm in this moment. I'm not in the next. I am.
All right, shit.
I'm
so
taking
let's
notes
go
as well. So pardon my my head nodding. I'm writing as well. There are actually some of the questions he already answered a few of my questions, because my question was how I had questions based on how long have you been in a meditative transition, or how long have you been in a meditative practice? That's better. You said over 15 years. And I would also, I'm sorry.
No, I would say, roughly I got into it about 15 years ago.
Okay. And that also included the practices within philosophy and theology as well. Or was that before?
That's 40 plus years.
Got it.
I felt a divine voice speak to me when I was 11 years old. And I've been following that voice, ever since. And I have not always followed it well, but I always come back to it. So I started out, Christian biblical student. And for about 15 years of my life, I was nothing but that. But like Paul did in the wilderness of Arabia, when he outgrew the religion that he was in, he went to the wilderness and he stayed there for 3 years. And he said, I forgot all of that. So Spirit would teach me anew. And Paul came out so much farther above his colleagues because he let the Creator teach him out there. So I started sloughing that skin, and I began to branch out into other faiths, other religions,
and
a whole lot of philosophy.
Okay. That helped me a lot because coming up in my time, and I'm only 34, but coming up as a young man, I had elders in the church who spoke to me about philosophy. They spoke to me about theology. They spoke to me about, of course, getting up and getting into the ministry. They all said, "You have a way with words, young man. You're very eloquent when you speak. You're very, you enunciate, and you're very articulate." I've heard that so long and so much to where it got to a point to where it's kind of behind me at some sense, because when I speak, I want to make sure that when I speak, I'm heard. And I also wanted to make sure that when I come out and I speak, that it's not overbearing and it's not to a point to where it's demeaning in any way, as well as I don't want to come off with a tone, should I say, I don't want to come off with a tone that's going to, should I say, alternate or altercate an individual's thoughts and or feelings about what I'm presenting. So for that, I can definitely understand when you mentioned that, when you mentioned Paul's descent into the wilderness for those 3 years and how he stated that he grew away from his religious teachings. In a sense, I felt the same way over the last, I don't know, year or so. And this has just come from different conversations with my parents, who are devout when it comes to their religious beliefs and their teachings and practices and methods, to where I simply asked my pops, I said, "Hey, pops," I told him, I said, "if all of this is, we're on the planet now," I said, and not to get off subject, I said, "We're on the planet now," I said, "and I know the divine creator gives us free will, but yet the divine creator is also all-knowing." I asked my dad, I said, so it comes to a point to where I feel this. If I'm given a free will, if I'm given free will or free choice to choose and decide what I feel is best for me, the divine already knows this. I said, but yet, should I be placed in a situation or a circumstance to where I have to make split decisions? Would there ever be a time to where I feel, or those who are, say, for example, in a transitioning stage to where maybe we have viewers or individuals like myself, for instance, who may have grown not indifferent or away from, but impartial on certain aspects of religious teachings? Would there be an issue as opposed to, I guess, maintaining that impartiality to spiritual, to religion, and then diving into the spiritual aspect?
I believe, I believe, and I want to make this quite clear that I believe,
Most def.
as one having been in those shoes at a juncture in my life. First of all, I want to start with the first one. Everybody sees you and they have a perception of you. And many people believe they know what's best for you.
I agree.
And some people are very, very wise and very intuitive, and they can see something. Some people just see that you look like something else, so that's what you must be.
That's very evident.
And if the guy over here at the convenience store said, "Hey man, you really real articulate. I think you should be a teacher." And then the guy that's over at the mechanic shop recognizes that I know something about the alternator, he said, "Man, you should be a mechanic." But if Dr. King were to step down and speak to me and said, "This is what you should do," I'm going to take Dr. King's advice.
For sure.
So if you're in a religious setting, of course, people in a religious setting can see qualities in you that would be just right.
Okay.
I said all that to say this: until that voice speaks to you, don't claim anybody else's calling.
Understood.
And I think that's what Paul was trying to tell us. He said, as a profession or as a vocation, I might be many things.
Okay.
But when it comes to a career, that should be the one that God gives you or your creator gives you. Okay. I just told you that as a philosophical thing for you.
And I appreciate it. I really do. I appreciate it. That helped me more than I can actually say at this moment.
And now I'm going to give you, and I hope maybe my son let you know this, because I spend so much time studying religion and especially the Christianity aspect of it. A lot of my references will be the Bible or some Christian writer or another. It's just because I studied so much of it and I have probably much more of that in me. But the truth is the truth. It doesn't matter who said it.
Facts.
And I've come to understand that I have more in common with my Muslim brothers than I do with
your Christian brothers.
My United States Christian brothers.
Okay, got it. Understood.
I feel closer to the divine when I'm fellowshipping with them than I do, here.
Okay.
But at some point when the time comes, young man, you are going to slough that religious skin.
Shed it, for sure.
Religion is your choice. Creation and oneness with the creator, you can't escape that even if you try.
Understood.
You're his. And it's kind of a oxymoron, more or less, but this is a word we use, so we're going to use this one.
Understood.
But I'm going to tell you the truth. Throw that free choice, free will shit out the window, because that's just going to mess up your life. It's not fictitious. If you believe in a creator, way down deep in your soul,
for sure,
that you're his,
can't nobody tell you different.
The only will is his. You just want to get into that flow or frequency.
For sure.
About earlier.
For sure.
And you hold on one second. You don't know how that hat is going to fall on you, brother.
So, not at all.
And I don't grab one until you know which one fits your head.
And I believe that's what has been my issue throughout these years, coming up. Just wanting to know, but not yet receiving the download.
Wait for the download. That's all.
Wanting to know, but not yet receiving the download. Yep.
Wait for the download, because you started when you started talking about how we are from the cosmos, and how before they even started language, we were practicing complicated mathematics.
Supreme mathematics. Correct.
We were communicating on the other side of
astral projection.
Galaxy,
correct.
Instantly. We were doing all this long before they even realized who they were. They were, hey, what a boy. We were already there, man.
Facts.
So,
I got a lot of that. I got a lot of that.
They want you in a flux and a confusion, because the longer you stay in that, you are not wrestling with this world. You're wrestling with your divine nature.
Yeah.
So when the download comes, you'll know. But I can tell you this: you were created by an awesome spectacle that we cannot even begin to understand or even imagine. So
yeah, I agree.
Let him do what he gonna do, and you try to get on his train. You try to get on that frequency. And then you spoke of something earlier. you spoke about the zone.
Mm.
Now, I remember early in my life, I played basketball. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would get in that zone, and it seemed like the hoop
Yeah.
was and everything I threw up just fell in there, because I
Yeah.
was in that zone. But that wasn't all the time.
Understood. Makes sense.
There were times when I was playing baseball and softball. Man, that ball looked this big.
Understood.
And I could put it wherever I wanted it.
Understood. Yeah. Yeah.
But that wasn't all the time.
Understood.
When I got into the ministry, I stepped into my zone, man.
Got it.
Every time at the plate, I knocked it out the park.
Understood.
Every time I threw up a shot, it went in. I
Understood.
found my zone.
Got
And
it.
that was inspiring and encouraging people to be the best version of themselves. I didn't have to work at that. I was in my zone. So,
Perfect. Hit it right on the head. Yeah.
son, just some things are just going to come with time and age.
Understood. Yeah.
And if you get them before the time, it's still not yours. You want to own it. And it's a part.
So look,
But
I appreciate that.
I'm going to say this.
Gentlemen.
You're in a good spot. You want to do better and you want others to do better. That's no higher calling is there than to want the best for someone else.
To want the best for someone else, for sure. That's unconditional love. That's what that means. Go ahead, Julian.
Wow. Wow. I just want to throw this in here. This is spontaneous. So speaking of spontaneity, so I've listened to you two gentlemen talk, y'all seem so focused. And let me ask you something. Can I be accomplishing my goal and not know what my goal is?
That's the only way you can accomplish it. Dwayne Jr., I'm telling you. The only way you're going to accomplish yours is he not tell you what it is.
It seems to be that way because I don't.
Man, you mess it up. So that's why you just have to come.
If you put man in it, he'll fuck it up. Let's be. That's that real, right? Okay.
Hey, I like my boy Miles Morales in Spider-Verse stuff. I like Miles more than I like Spider-Man, okay?
I understand.
And there's something that he told Miles. Man, it's a leap of faith, Some things you won't know till it's there. It's just a leap of faith. So I think here's the course of action that I take. And this works for me. And I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of other people I know feel the same way. Doing it all the time is not so easy all the time, but once you practice, it gets easier. Being mindful in the moment. When you don't know what to do, when the clouds didn't open up and the voice of God spoke to you, just do what you know is the next right thing. Just keep doing the next right thing. And you will find out that you will arrive at your destination every single time on time. Just keep doing the next right thing.
Just keep doing the next right thing. I like that.
The next right thing. That part of you, that moral part of you, and it's different with everybody, but that moral part of you, don't do anything it regrets.
Understood. Yeah.
If you don't violate your conscience, and I'm saying conscience, conscience, not conscious. I'm saying conscience. Don't violate your conscience. And at some point, your conscience gets bigger and it gets stronger. But in the process of growing, work at not doing anything that you'll regret. Now, you're going to do some things that you regret, okay,
Well, for sure.
Yep.
but work at it. Work at saying, if I do this tomorrow, I'm going to feel bad. If I do this next week, I'm going to feel bad.
Mm.
I just want to do what's right at this moment. I'm not worried about doing right next Friday.
Right. Today.
I want to do what's right now. If you work at that, I guarantee you are on pace, on schedule. You will hit every single benchmark you're supposed to, and you will arrive. And this is a mantra that goes with a better way ministry, the better way outreach that works with my son. We're together on that. And that is, we get there together.
We do.
I like that.
We get there together.
Like that. They say it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes, it
but
does.
You also can't do it on your own.
And an ass whooping doesn't hurt anybody. There you go.
I'm saying. I'm saying.
Well, I do daddies always slide that in there, right? They always slide that one in there.
Because I believe fathers are seen more of as disciplinaries or the pillars of fortitude, mental, emotional strength. That's what we are here for as fathers, I believe.
And discipline just happens to be one of the characteristics of that. But as a father, we are the protectors and maintainers of the families that God has given us. And that discipline comes out of it sometimes.
For sure.
But the best part of it is teaching, training, building character in your child. Sometimes you have to spank them. But sometimes my pops, he didn't spank me when I just knew he would. He talked to me. And I got more out of that talk than that spanking because he knew when to spank and when to talk. So
correct.
So discipline
just think. So you think. I'm just gonna throw that out there. So you think. You thought he was playing, he was living in the moment with your fucking ass when he whooped you and talked to you, just like we are now.
My father did it to me.
2 weeks ago, you did that.
My father firmly believed you spare a rod, you spare a child, He was a firm believer in that. So if I got a line, he was like, yo, you got to get some order in your life, son. He told me. I got an ass whooping. He told me right after the ass whooping. He was like, look, this happened because of ABC.
Well, the Bible says,
wow,
the rod of correction will drive foolishness out of a kid's heart because his heart is full of foolishness. But the rod of correction will drive it out of him. And it also says, young man, listen to those that are your elders.
Yep.
Speak to you. Appreciate, cherish wise counsel.
Yep.
I would say this from my perspective. I wish I would have listened to the words and not felt the rod, if that makes any sense to you.
That makes perfect.
I believe you did. Perfect. The reason why I believe
the rod that helped you open up your ears, didn't
but as you said, to caveat, I do believe that the disciplinary tactics of your father did work, bro. Because if you look at the scenarios or the circumstances that caused those disciplinary tactics, right? And you look at where you are right now, and you look at the position you're in right now, and the perspective that you are able to speak from to others as well as your father about these situations or circumstances, I'd say you did learn something.
Whatever you do, don't steal no corn.
Don't steal no corn.
Don't steal no corn.